What would have life been like without that constant chatter in our brain? Is what I understand left brain function being, that it's constantly chatting away, usually nonsense, bombarded with fears,
Yeah.
bombarded with notions, ideologies, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well,
What would life been like with that part of the brain, that part of the noise switched off?
well, switched off, or the part of the brain that currently does all the chattering and is frightened and hangs on tight and dominates our perception would have been functioning very differently rather than being switched off.
Can you elaborate much more on what that might have been like? Because you call that in your book the golden age.
Sure. It's a really good question, and I am gonna struggle to find a very precise way of describing it. I think free from fear, free from the chattering, a state of being that we would currently have to use superlatives to describe, but that would be normal. It wouldn't necessarily.
What is this word that you just mentioned?
Like a superlative range of experiences. So what we currently describe as a profound experience, an intense, joyful experience, a sense of deep empathy and compassion, all those traits would be normal, everyday things. They'd be very powerful, but they wouldn't, I guess, they wouldn't be perceived as particularly powerful. They would just be the way things were, and the way we'd relate to each other, to our environment, would also be very different. There'd be much less a sense of individual identity and concept. So we currently describe ourselves with concepts, Mark, Tony, human beings, beings of light, whatever. There's still concepts. The experience would be the dominant thing, and it would feel, I suspect we'd have to use words like pretty damned amazing, pretty damned wonderful. Of course they're just words.
So at that period in time, we would have felt emotions much more intensely. Is that what you're saying? Would we been able to feel pleasures intensely as well? Our sense of being together as a family, perhaps as a unit, say on a social level, would be much more intense?
Yes, again, I mean, I'm just going to have to draw on bits of examples here and there, but I think where people have come into what we currently call altered states, I mean, I'm going to turn this back to front and say this is the altered state. Our current state's a deeply altered state, very degenerate state, and then that's a reference point. So we describe altered states back to front almost. I think we'd be free from that incredibly multi-layered conceptual world we all inhabit. It would be experiential, and again, that's a word. So again, we're using words to describe what is a different experience, which is quite tricky. But I think it would involve, again, a lot of profound this and profound that relative to our current state. So a profound sense of connectedness, as I said, a profound sense of joy, a profound sense of wonder, just at our very existence. I mean, it's, you know, we're stuck in a state of mind now where we're always looking for stimulation, yet we're hurtling along on a speck of dust in the middle of nowhere, and it's profoundly amazing. And that passes us by now. Well, I think we would have been in a profound sense of reverence at our very existence. I mean, again, would
this creature, for instance, be self-destructive?
Not remotely, in my opinion. No, it would have been an abhorrent. It wouldn't even have been a concept. It wouldn't even have been a choice. It would have been almost impossible. I think our brains, our neural structure would have been such that to be destructive would just be out with our reality. It would be an alien experience, alien concept. It would be trying to take somebody in the most heightened state that we ever hear about these days and expecting them to behave violently. Well, it goes totally the opposite way. Again, it's this sense of connection, empathy, joy, wonder. Quite fluffy terms in many ways, but very powerful and not weak in any way. A very strong sense of connection, a very strong sense of perpetual realization that we are something very different to what we think we are now.